Hello would-be officers, welcome to our channel You Next Officer. From today we have started daily one answer writing session for anthropology. Here we will discuss one question that will be of previous year question of UPSC CSC mains for anthropology. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel You Next Officer. So guys, we will try to go systematically as per the syllabus. So picking up 1.1 from our syllabus of anthropology, I have picked up a question from 2017. It is a 20 marker question. As we can see, the question is: define anthropology, describe the major branches of anthropology, elaborating on any one of the branch. So guys, as we can see here, we need to describe or take notice of three components. One is the definition, second, major branches, and third, elaborating any one of the branch. So coming to how to address the question. In the introductory part, we have to project an idea that we know there are various definitions of anthropology existing, and we also know that it has kept changing with time, or we can say it has evolved. The definition was earlier different and it has undergone several changes before coming to the present meaning. So coming to the definition, first we can introduce there are various definitions, and we can have two different type of meanings also. First is we can give an etymological meaning, and second we can give scientific meaning. Okay, so etymological meaning, I hope you understand that we have to go as per the terminology. So if we look at the term anthropology, it is a Greek term given by Aristotle. So in the etymological meaning, we can write that it is a Greek term given by Aristotle, and if we try to break down this term, then it will be like anthropos plus logos. Anthropos is it means man, and logos means study or science. So the definition comes out to be science of man. But this etymological meaning was very much criticized because it was gender biased. The women liberation movement in USA in 1960s and 70s, they came out with this movement, and they projected this meaning as quite gender biased. Since science of man, why not female then? Where woman goes then? So later this meaning was revised, and instead of science of man, it became science of humankind. Science of I'm sorry for the handwriting. Science of Humankind. Now coming to the scientific definition, it has undergone several changes before coming to present meaning that we have to mention in the answer. Alright, so in order to give them, the examiner, the idea that we are aware that the definition was not the same and has evolved with the time, we have to at least give them the timeline, like what the definition was in 16th century, then 17th century, 18th century, 19th century, and ultimately 20th century, where we have finally concluded the definition as in a comprehensive definition we have decided. So in the 16th century, we can start with the timeline, like in the body part we can write this. Yes, so in the body part, so here we are still undergoing the writing the definition part. We are not yet complete with the definition part yet. So in the we can start with like in the 328 BC, Aristotle gave the definition of science of man that we have already talked about. Then in the 16th century, we can talk about Magnus Hunt, who gave the definition as study of human anatomy and physiology in his book Anthropology de Hominis. So book's name was Anthropology de Hominis. It is H. Proceeding ahead, in the 17th century, we can pick up few thinkers. See, mentioning thinkers' name will always help you in fetching extra marks. So, at least 2-3 thinkers if we mention in our every answer of anthropology, then it will be like an icing on the cake. So, 17th century, not much of the known thinkers were there, but still an anonymous English writer mentioned about the definition as history of human soul. History of human soul and human anatomy. So his definition revolved around soul and anatomy both, and his book was Anthropology Abstracted. Now coming to 18th century, there are thinkers like Immanuel Kant, Alexander Pope. Both of them have given a definition of anthropology. We can mention one at least, like if we mention about Immanuel Kant. So Immanuel Kant has given a definition like it is the study of animal organs, social development and cultural progress of humans, and his book was titled as Anthropology in Pragmatic Hinst Abag First. Like anthropology, it is not an English term, it is somewhere about I think Spanish or Latin term. Then coming to 19th century, we are having so many thinkers like Franz Boas, E.V. Taylor, like Bose, very famous one, Tyler, Paul Topinard, James Hurt, Encyclopedia, and many more. But we need to mention quite the famous ones. Like we can mention Bose, Franz Bose, and E.B. Tylor. They have given definition as science of man, dealing with biological, cultural, social aspects of mankind. Both of the definitions were almost the same. It was like science of man dealing with biological, cultural, and social aspects. So he had combined all these three aspects. Coming to 20th century, we again have various thinkers. So like Marvin Harris, Philip Kotak, Hegel, John D. Buffer, then Jacob and Stern, Kluckhohn, Herkowitz, Kroeber. So like here again we can mention 2 or 3 writers, that's it. Or else you can mention 1 or 2, that's also enough. See, ultimately you have to make your answer unique. And to make your answer unique, the more you mention the writers or the thinkers, the more you will fetch the marks. And it will add to the uniqueness of your answer. So I would suggest go with the Kroeber and Hebel's definition. So Kroeber, he defined anthropology as science of man, his works and behavior. Very simple definition. And coming to Hebel, he defined anthropology as science of all aspects of man in totality. This is the one which has been accepted till now, like latest definition, and has been taken, like, everyone has agreed upon this definition. So ultimately we can write it as the comprehensive definition would be, it is the holistic and scientific study of human being in totality in terms of time and space. So this is how we have completed the first part, that is the definition. Coming to the next part, that is the branches of anthropology. Branches, we very well know there are 4 branches. So we can give a diagram like this, where it's like a pie cake, where we can divide it into 4, like linguistic, archaeological, socio-cultural, and biological. This has the base of basics research, and again has a base of applied anthropology. Okay, so again now we have not yet completed with the part. We have to again at least write in like 3-4 lines regarding each. So we can start like with how Franz Bose has given the 4-fold division of anthropology. Bose. So Franz Bose, he has given a 4-fold division of anthropology. So physical part, it is how it is concerned with biological and behavioral aspects, we have to mention. Socioculture, how it is like way of life, the studying the way of life of people across the place and time. And archaeological, where we study the material remains of the past. And the linguistic, where we study language, how the languages of different areas and how they are influencing the social life of people. So after defining all these 4-fold, now coming to the last part, that is elaborating at least one. So we can pick up any of these 4 branches, but I have picked up, for example, you can pick physical part or sociocultural part or archaeological or linguistic. For example, if you pick archaeological part and if you try to elaborate on this part, then first try to give an introduction, that is how it deals with reconstructing the cultural forms of past. See, here what we do, we are trying to dig out the material in very simpler terms. If I say, then we have to dig out the material remains, and we need to have the help of the geophysicist, and we need to have the help of geologists, biochemists, forensic department, and various many other departments are also required, along with archaeological anthropologists who will help in digging out the material remains. And so all these remains will be used to reconstruct the past. This is how history is also created, right? So based on these material remains, or like antiquities, these antiquities will help in understanding our culture and the human growth and development with time. So in a way, it's like combining both archaeology and anthropology, and this part, you see, is archaeological anthropology. After that, we can go ahead with the background and scope. In the background, we can mention how it has evolved. We can mention about how it has originated in 1797, where a farmer who was simply just digging out his field, and he came across Herculean tools which was found 20 feet below the earth's surface, and he then sent these to the Society of Antiquities in London. From there it gained popularity in late 19th century, and until 1960s archaeologists were describing the fossil material remains of prehistoric sites and the techniques used back then. Then later on, after this, then Julian Stewart's cultural ecology model, how it helped and changed the approach of archaeology, and how the focus shifted from socio-cultural process to rate and direction of the cultural change. These all we have to mention in the background and the scope. We also have to mention about how it analyzes the Paleolithic, Mesolithic, and Neolithic, Chalcolithic, Bronze Age culture, these various cultures from different parts of the world. After writing down the background and scope, we can come to the limitation part of the archaeological anthropology. In the limitation, we can mention that how it is a handicapped branch. Why? Because we have never been able to know what speech or language the prehistoric man was using. So language is a limitation of the prehistoric culture. Then, like in social culture, we observe the human behavior directly and the culture, but here we don't observe. We only believe in evidences that we find after digging out the material remains. Then after the limitation, giving 2-3 points, we can come to contemporary developments in archaeological anthropology, and the developments are like use of GIS tools, then genetic and DNA engineering, genetic DNA engineering, and like how they have enhanced the interdisciplinary and holistic outlook of this discipline. So like this we can complete our body. We have to also take care that it is a 20 marker question. Don't exceed the word limit. Okay guys, and then lastly, coming to the conclusion, we can conclude that anthropology is the study of man in totality. That we have to mention. Man in totality. Study of man in totality. And then how it holds a mirror to men. That is a very if you can mention, then it is a good point. Mirror, I'm sorry. Okay, mirror to men. It is like a mirror to men. How, like, a human can look into infinite varieties in his own ways. Okay, and how this leads to an appropriate product of diversities, ultimately acting as a bridge between science and humanities. So guys, this is how we conclude, and I can have you guys have a look at this model answer which I have prepared. See, coming to this part, see, I have tried to complete the definition part in like 3/4 of the page, and 1/4 I have left for the branches. See, first I have given like how there are various definitions of anthropology and how it's changing with time. See, so, and like we have like etymological meaning, scientific meaning. You can see Aristotle, how he has coined the term, and how in scientific term we have like tried to explain in the timeline format, 16th century, 17th century, 18th, 19th and 20th century. Then ultimately coming to a comprehensive definition, that it is the holistic and scientific study of human living in totality in terms of time and space. Coming to the next part, which is branches of anthropology. See what I was talking about. This is a pie chart. We have described linguistic, archaeological, sociocultural, biological, with the base of research and applied anthropology. And then the next part, that is how Franz Boas, always underline the thinkers, Franz Boas gave the fourfold division of anthropology: physical, sociocultural, ecological and linguistic. See, and the scientific, like we have tried to describe in like 3-4 lines. See, since I have written in a vertical format, in a tabular manner, so that's why the space it has consumed more. You can try to write in your own way, and then defining it, like elaborating at least one. So I have elaborated archaeological anthropology, how it deals with reconstructing the forms of the past, the growth, development, study of antiquities of the past, combining an archaeological and anthropological part. I have mentioned about the background and the scope, origin you have to give, then how it gained popularity. Then Julian Stewart's cultural ecology, very important cultural ecological model. And then this development was known as neo-archaeological anthropology. And yes, one point is important: prerequisites. That is, for an archaeological anthropology, we need to collaborate with geologists, geophysicists. I think I have explained this above. Geologist, geophysicist, biochemist, and must have a sound knowledge of biological anthropology, geography, ethnology, cultural anthropology, etc. And one part that I missed is like principal sub-branches. You can also mention branches like prehistoric, historic and ethnoecology, one line about both. Then we can give relevance, like how we know about sociocultural past of the people, helps in understanding origin, evolution of human culture and behavior. And then how in the last 2 decades we started studying climatic and ecological aspects of ancient times. And again, like it helps in analyzing Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic and the other cultures, all as I have told earlier. Limitations, as I have told, try to mention that how we are not aware of the speech or language used, and how we cannot observe human behavior and culture as we do in socioculture part. Contemporary developments, GIS tools, genetic DNA engineering, I have already talked about. And finally the conclusion. In the conclusion we have mentioned like how it is the study of man in totality, and how it holds a mirror to the man and lets him look into the infinite varieties of his own ways, leads to the appropriate product of diversities, acting as a bridge between science and humanities. That's all guys for today's session. Hope I have tried to make it clear as possible from my end. So guys, if you need the PDF, it is available on our channel. The link is given below in the description box. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe our channel. Thank you guys. Have a good day ahead. Thank you.